Heather?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Interfleet Broadcasting. I am the Tipsy Toaster, and with me today is New York Pete. Say hi, Pete.
Hey, buddy.
So if you haven't been with us before, we are a news-centric style, space, science fiction, all the different 80s, 90s. We'll even go past and go 2000s and 2010s and everything else, but we're really big into science fiction. We like to, our biggest hope and love is Battlestar Galactica, of course, because that's kind of what we started out with. But anyways, we're glad that you've joined us. We're going to be going across a couple of things tonight. We'll have some news. We have a special guest. Actually, I'll bring him up and over right now, actually, just so we can do a toast with him. There he is. We have Shawn. And hang on, Shawn. Now you have audio. There we go. So we have Shawn with us tonight. We have
welcome aboard, Shawn.
So he is Battlestar Galactica Bulletin Board leader. I guess it almost sounds like Red Leader. Battlestar Galactica Bulletin Board leader, Red Leader.
Ah, yeah, there he is. He takes that too. Cool.
So, anyways, we start out our show. Oh, anyways, Pete, anything going on today? I just kind of blew everything over right there. So it's just, welcome. If you haven't seen us before, here we are.
IFB all the way.
That's it.
Fans Fuel the Fleet.
Interfleet Broadcasting.
10 Centons with found colonies and fans. And Shawn Scialo is with us from Battlestar Bulletin Board. Thank you, Shawn, for taking the time out and joining with us. We've got a couple of things going on. And tonight, we're going to start the Cylon Death Machine. So we're going to do our book
awesome
versus,
title.
You like that, yeah, the book versus episode. And there are some major differences. So it really is awesome. But before we do that, we have a couple of things that we're going to cover. And so before the deep dive, Shawn, let's do our traditional toast. We always want to make sure we recognize the fans, and so look at that shiny
Infinity Goblet.
You like that? I want you guys are kind of intimidating, so I had to bring
the big
muscle.
stuff. That's it.
Yeah, the big guns. The big guns. Well, so let's toast to the fans. Without them, it wouldn't be the same. So thanks for joining us tonight, and as soon as we get into it, I'll start with the shout outs. But thanks for joining us, and this is a toast to the fans. Chris?
Yep. Fans Fuel the Fleet. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Outstanding. All right. So, that was, you took a deep one there, Chris. Take it easy, will you, please?
W30,
You started
buddy.
the show, man. You got to save some.
W30.
Look, Shawn knows what he's doing, man. Come on. Man, unbelievable. So, let's see. You know what? Let me just jump ahead and right off the bat, mediocre modeler, Lola representing Silver Spar. So we have plenty of representation. And George G from Spartan Red Productions and Paul E And so, and the others, whoever else is coming up, as you come up and as I spot you, shout out to everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to have a really nice representation from all the different, organizations and clubs that are out there. So we appreciate that. We're going to have, of course, a news briefing. So John One will come on in a second or two, and then we'll, bring up a couple other things that are on the agenda. But I think before we get too deep, like I said earlier, let's bring on our news anchor, John One. What do you got for us, John?
Hello, everyone. John One reporting for IFB News. Upcoming new movies to keep an eye out for. Army of the Dead, airing May 14th on Netflix. It's a heist movie. You guys going to go to Vegas, break in, but the one catch is they have to deal with zombies, and they're very smart zombies, according to the trailers. The trailer's out now. Check it out.
Excellent.
Also, Mortal Kombat, starting April 16th, which is tomorrow. This should be a good show. This show hasn't been seen about close to 25 years, but the best part of the show is now everyone is a martial arts expert, even the extras, stunt doubles, so it should be good. Looking forward to it. Check out Invincible on Amazon, an adult animated superhero series about a superhero son who has powers, who learns that dad may not be so great. Looks good.
Ooh.
Next Friday, Shadow and Bone premieres on Netflix based on the book series. That looks pretty good. I'll have to check it out. I don't know. Now, the next Star Wars feature film would be Rogue Squadron. The movie will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots arriving in theaters Christmas 2023, where they probably make an unbelievable shot and destroy a Death Star. I don't know, but we'll have to see that.
Jeez, just right around the corner, 2023.
Yep. Yeah, about big news from Star Wars. We're looking forward to Acolyte and what is it? The Rangers of the Old Republic. So which should tie in with the Mandalorian. So there's more on that coming up. So big news from the Star Trek universe. Paramount announced a new series coming this year. First one is called Prodigy. It's an animated series about a crew of young aliens navigating the galaxy with Captain Janeway. She's going to reprise her role on that. Looks pretty good, but, that's the same thing with Star Trek Below Decks. Hopefully it'll be the same thing. So what else? The next one is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This story is a spin-off of Star Trek Discovery and also a prequel to the original Star Trek series. It will follow Captain Christopher Pike.
Yes.
And the crew of the U.S. Enterprise. At least true fans know how this ends. Well, at least for Pike. Not too good. Upcoming news: Kong Skull Island director John Voight Roberts will be directing a live-action feature film for Netflix. This one's good. I've been waiting for a long time for this one. This one's going to be a live-action film on Gundam. I don't know where it's going to start. There's so much to start from. Gundam, was it Suit Gundam of the first series, Endless Waltz? So much to pick from. Great series. Looking forward to it. We'll also release The Imperfects. Also, season about 3 people turned into monsters by a mad scientist, and they try to go band together, try to find out who the scientist is, and try to make them turn back to human beings. That's the Netflix, The Imperfects, to be announced. Mads Mikkelsen is joining the cast for the 5th Indiana Jones movie. See you July 29th, 2022. See if they still make it by then. I don't know.
Sounds like Rocky, man. Rocky 20.
And that's about it for now. If anyone has any questions, one more thing. If any collectors out there, the Gettysburg Toy Soldier Show will be starting this Sunday at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. If you collectors right now, go ahead and get Gettysburg. And if anyone has any news or they want to drop previews or trailers to me, please drop me off at blowncenturion1@gmail.com. This is John One for Report of IFB News. Everyone have a good night. Enjoy your week.
Oh,
awesome,
thanks, John. All right.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Oh, boy. Wow. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
That's why we have somebody. I mean, how the heck do you kind of
movies.
keep up with that? That's a lot. Awesome.
I actually watched Skylines the other night for the first time.
Oh, did you? And?
Yeah. Oh, it was good. I liked
Okay.
it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
All right. Okay.
I won't go too far. I let Tiny Bean take care of that, so I won't go too in depth on that.
Okay.
So she can tell us about it. So,
All
but yeah,
right,
it was pretty good. I liked it.
All right. Sounds good. There's a couple others that we want to revisit. We had put up Europa.
Yep.
I've watched
I've watched
3 episodes.
Yeah, I watched 3 or 4 episodes of that. I like it.
Yeah, and I got so that's something. What I like about it is that it's European and it's different.
Well, I thought it was going to be all subtitles, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
I was like, whoa, what happened to the subtitles? I mean, there's some, but there wasn't as bad. So
no, yeah, not as much. So it's pretty good. It's written and produced in a different style. So I like that. It's kind of unusual. The other thing that I don't think we've brought up is another show called Sisyphus, and it's a Korean sci-fi that has to do with time travel. And there's a lot of cultural. The way they unfold the story is, again, not the Hollywood template. So you gotta roll with it. They got action and stuff. It's pretty good. We'll get into it maybe in another show. So Barodi B is with us. Thank you for joining. So is Jacob C, and Hammond is here, and Bobby T. Thank you for joining us. And I guess without any further ado, Chris,
did you mention Lola?
It's time. Lola. No, you're not.
She was a showgirl.
Oh boy!
With yellow feathers in her hair and her dress cut down to there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, I did. I mentioned Lola's representing Silver Spar. She's a big, very heavily involved with Silver Spar, so she is representing, which is really cool. So yeah, let's then shoot right over to our guest and Battlestar. Okay, come on. You're the master of the buttons.
We got to do the intro here.
Let's go. I said master of the buttons.
He's a Cylon flying through there, just like the other one.
Oh, God. Relax with that, will you?
And Shawn's back.
Yes, and Shawn's back. Guys? Shawn, again, welcome.
Thank you.
Battlestar Bulletin Board, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so it's all you, man. Tell us about it.
Well, you guys know this. I started it. Well, first of all, I've been a fan since the beginning, right? You guys know that. You can probably imagine that since 1978, 9 years old. So a Battlestar fanatic. But I wasn't really into social media until recently. And so I guess in the last year or so, maybe a little longer, I discovered all these Facebook groups on Battlestar. And they're awesome, and I belong to several of them, and I know you guys do as well. But it came to a point where I wanted to have my own voice, and I thought I had 43 years of expertise to share with the world. So I was excited to get something started myself, and so far so good. We just passed 1,000 members, and I started it back July of last year. So we've grown really, really quickly, and have a lot of fun with it, and definitely enjoy, partnering with you guys and collaborating in something like this. I think, I think there's opportunity for the groups to maybe do more of that, and I know we'll probably talk on that, but yeah, excited to be here and discuss it.
Well, thanks, Shawn. Thanks for coming on board. And we appreciate the fact that you've been supporting from, like the get-go. So that means a lot. And it also, the idea that we are not only science fiction fans, but we happen to be Battlestar Galactica fans, 1978, it transcends a lot. And that's what's actually brought us here today, right? If it wasn't for that show, I don't know that we would be doing a Star Trek or a Star Wars. I mean, there's plenty of that. We're here because, we enjoyed growing up watching Battlestar Galactica 1978, the classic, the original. And here we are, man. That's what's, it's magical.
Well, and that's the thing, right? We're talking about a show that only had 24 hours of programming, right? because we're not counting Galactica 1980. I don't want to upset anybody, but we're speaking about you know who you are out there. You know who you are. Yeah, it's amazing, right? And I got to share this. I think you guys have seen this. So this is you talk about a show that has resonated through the years, and Richard Hatch always said it struck a deep nerve, or it struck a chord with folks, obviously, right? Again, you're talking about one single season, 17 standalone episodes, 24 hours of programming, and we're having a podcast about it right now. So obviously it hit something within a great many of us. And for me, it was everything. It was the mythology, it was the eye candy of the special effects, it was the story, and that, going back to Battlestar Bulletin Board, I wanted to share. And there's a lot of great modelers out there, and a lot of great talent, which I have none of. But what I do like to share, and start dialogue around is the story, the mythology, and kind of the history and the making of Battlestar Galactica, because I think that speaks volumes as to why we're here and continue to talk about it and get excited about it. So even today, you just put a couple things up on the screen. We're having some fun. Battlestar versus Buck Rogers, right? Which is obviously another Glen Larson production, right? And so that's fun to do that stuff. And I like to do the behind the scenes things as well. Also today we shared something on, there's the episode War of the Gods, one of the, arguably, outside of maybe Living Legend, the best episode outside of this the pilot. And we had that red hue through much of the episode, right? Which gave it that alien, otherworldly, aesthetic. And people probably wonder, well, why is some of the episode not on the planet, not in the red, weird color? And that's because they ran out of film. They ran out of the special film. So there's no mechanical reason for story-wise why that changed from scene to scene. It's a gaffe, essentially. So we share things like that as well.
I always thought maybe it was like The Wizard of Oz, black and white in the beginning and then goes to color.
Yeah, you're giving them way too much credit.
Eyes just got used to
way too much credit.
The evil empire is not that powerful, Chris.
Oh, come on.
No.
Wicked Witch of the West was a Cylon.
And let's not go down. Yeah.
There we go. There's a crossover for you.
Oh,
There's
boy,
a crossover.
Yeah. You can't go there. We already argue about, are they robots? Are they aliens? That's you don't want to go. Now they're part of the land of Oz. So,
the Wizard of Oz,
awesome.
Battlestar Galactica crossover.
And the flying monkeys.
Yeah,
Speaking
flying monkeys
of,
were the first original lizards or something. They were flying lizards.
Yeah. Keep dreaming, buddy. Speaking of crossovers, though, Shawn, it wouldn't be proper to not bring up the fact that you're actually a writer as well. So your love of the show drove you to write, which hey, listen, there's worse things that someone could do or spend their time doing. And if you're writing, you're obviously, using your imagination, your creativity. It's a form of art, and you're bettering your grammar, your vocabulary. I mean, there's practical aspects of picking up the pen or the keyboard and writing, and it's an outlet of sorts, and you've done that. So not only have you written, you've done a bunch of stuff when it comes to fan fiction, and everybody should know about it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, before I was social media savvy, which that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke because I'm really not. This is late '90s. I went to both the reunions, so '93 and '98. Met a lot of talented people that did, fanzines and different things like that. I don't have an artistic bone in my body as far as drawing or anything like that, but I do feel like I've got some creative ideas as far as the story. That's where my passion is, and putting together some hopefully entertaining stuff and knowing Galactica, like Eric said last week in last week's show, please, at least watch the shows and understand the mythology and what the characters would say and does it ring true and whatnot. And so in the late '90s, early 2000s, I played around with some things. There's some things that are published, I guess, or what do you want to call it, or posted on like fanfic.net and other places. I think Eric's actually on Eric's site Eric Padden. There's a couple of stories. Battlestar Poseidon is a story I wrote set 1,000 yarns before the original show about the onset of the war and how they, interjected with the Hasari and all that. And excuse me, shows how that crew basically played an integral part in what was to follow, what we knew was to follow many yarns later. And but one of the really fun ones I did was a crossover, which I know Pete really likes crossovers. Was a Battlestar Galactica Buck Rogers crossover called Somewhere Beyond the Heavens, and I got a lot of responses, and folks were emailing me, and I think you can see I got there's some reviews in there, some feedback, which was really nice, and I had a lot of fun with that. So that's basically the ragtag fleet runs into, or I should say, the searcher from Buck Rogers runs into our ragtag fleet, and there's a little comical Admiral Asimov Adama interaction, and then Buck and that crew racing out to assist the Galacticans, if you will, as Cylon Armada approaches. And I had a lot of fun with that, and all the mythology from both shows, kind of putting it together. And the great thing about that was, Buck Rogers is a little more campy, right? I know Battlestar gets accused of being campy a lot, which I respectfully disagree with, but Buck Rogers for sure. A lot of over-the-top dialogue, so it was kind of like you couldn't really go wrong writing the dialogue for some of that. So I had a lot of fun with that, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I had a family, I had kids. It kind of got away from fanfic. In fact, there's some stories on there. I probably frustrated some folks because some of it's not finished. There's like a few chapters and it just ends. But you can see some of the. I also did a take on the Hunt for Red October, but I thought it'd be really cool instead of Sean Connery. What about Commander Kane? And
wow.
And there's a reason behind. Just like the Hunt for Red October, there's a reason he's defecting, quote unquote. It's right in the middle of the war, and the colonies don't necessarily all get along just because they're at war with the Cylons. And so I had a lot of fun with that. You might recognize in that photo, it looks like a young Count Ibley. It's not, but it is the human body that he would later take over. So I had a lot of fun with things like that, playing with the mythology and whatnot. And so yeah, I definitely, I like to say I'm an amateur fanfic writer, humbly, but I have a lot of fun with it.
Very cool. Oh, outstanding. Outstanding, Shawn. I wasn't going to let you off the hook on that. I really wanted to get that out. There's a lot of writers that, are following us, and they're also, trying to get the creative juices out. They want to, they want to hear this. I think it's inspirational, and we want to support that as much as we can. It's another way. It's an outlet. It's always been an outlet. I mean, this type of fan fiction, basically came out of the original Star Trek back in the 60s, and it's morphed into, an industry in and of itself. It's still out there. And a lot of these, newer shows, believe it or not, also music, there's still an outlet for these things. And the website that you mentioned, we should put that up later on. And because some of the guys,
it's up.
It's up. Perfect. Because there it is. We just put it up. Just a quick aside, Jeff Anthony's watching. Thanks for joining us. Holly is with us as well. And John
Hey, Mom.
1 tells me that please tell Shawn I saw the Cylons on your site and you have a great shirt. So I gotta had to pull that up. So
awesome.
But listen, Shawn, we are so grateful that you took the time out, and there's a couple of other things that we definitely want to get back into, because you've been to the main conventions and you've shared some really great pictures with us. I hope Chris can maybe pull a couple of those up and you can talk just a little bit about those in terms of your street creds, because I mean, look at that stuff. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, that's the 1993 15-yard reunion at Universal City Hilton in Culver City there, and that's Terry Carter, who's awesome. I was shy back. This is my first convention in 1993. I know you've been going since the 70s, Pete, but for me it was
60s.
It was 1993, and but he was awesome. Herb Jefferson Jr. I got a picture with him and his young daughter, and that was those special moments that I'll never forget. And And again, I shared this story with you really quickly, but I was the guy. So you talk about story and content and what that means to me. I was the guy where all the actors went out to the hallway from in the convention to sign their autographs, and I sat and listened to Glen Larson and John Dykstra tell their stories. That's what I wanted to hear, right? But I mean, I love the actors. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, and Herb was fantastic, and what a great experience. And then the '98 one as well was special too.
Oh yeah,
and look at all those autographs. I mean, Sarah Rush, you had Rigel. Everyone has a little crush on Sarah, right? Because she's such a sweetheart. And let me just tell you, in person, absolutely 100%, super sweet.
Very cool. Chris, can you just throw up that last slide, that last deck that you had there, the one with that one? Can you put that up? Yeah, there you go. Oh man, look at Boltar's. Is that Vulpa? And look, there's Boltar's.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We'll talk more about
tunic
Vulpa
or whatever
today.
you call it. Yeah, his outfit. Yeah, and the gold. Is that Vulpa or commanding the Cylon? And yeah, it was pretty cool. Again, they're talking about a kid who grew up in Galactica, and I get to see all this stuff up close for the first time. I was like in awe. So
look at the nerd photo of Dirk Benedict.
Right?
Holy
crap!
I
noticed that too.
He looks like
pictures.
He looks like oh come on, hang on. He looks like Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, okay.
He just needs a little electric bolt on his forehead. Dirk, if you watch this later on, sorry I'm making fun of you. It just had, hey, come on. If I had a picture like that, I'm sure you'd make fun of me too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right. Probably makes fun of us right now as we speak.
Well, that's assuming if Dirk ever watches this. Anyways.
How do you know he's not, man? Come on.
This is true.
Oh, don't.
You never know.
Don't destroy the dream.
So.
Oh yeah, well. So, Shawn, listen, you definitely have street creds. Look at this, Battlestar fandom, revivals, reimagining, you were all up in that. Battlestar Bulletin Board, obviously that's where your Facebook group lives. And like you mentioned, I think you've already broke the barrier in terms of 1,000 supporters. And we have all the way over to the far end is the continuation trilogy that picks up 43 yarns later. That's all the work that you've actually done, and I expect and hope that there will be more in the future. And we've talked a little bit, Shawn, about some of the collaborations, and so we definitely want to have you come back. I think that based on everything that you're bringing to the world of Battlestar Galactica, everybody deserves to hear more of your experiences and what's out there and some of your visions and maybe some of the things that we can all collaborate together and do. We're fans, we're into this stuff, and my take has always been, Shawn, that I want to give back to fandom, right? You and I quickly touched upon this earlier off camera. We talked about how we know so much about this stuff. We've dedicated a large part of our lives to, this show and, everything that it represents and what it means and the books. And we know all this trivia. I've always wanted to give back, and this is how I give back. So, Shawn, you're welcome to come back. And if you want to give us a last couple of, thoughts, we're going to schedule you to come back. We'll have a full interview with you. And just from me, just thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, and super. Again, we're just getting started. That's what I'll say is Battlestar Bulletin Board. We're just getting started. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ideas, I think, and I think you guys have heard about some of them. And I think you're right. The admins of these different groups, if we can get together, have a little summit, little council of the 5, or whatever, council of the 12,
or the 30, or the 40,
or the 40, or the 50, whatever it may be. But if you're interested in content, if you're interested in behind the scenes, and learning more about the universe of Battlestar Galactica, then check out Battlestar Bulletin Board. So yeah, guys, thanks for the time. I really do appreciate it, and I'll definitely be coming back.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shawn. Thank you very much. So, wow. I want to definitely pick his brain on the convention scene and just talk all about that.
A Cylon.
Who?
You. You want to pick his brain. You want to put him in a cold cell. You want to.
Oh boy, here we go, man. Listen, we didn't even
The
start
brain
talking
scan.
about the book. You're so excited about that. I can't believe how Cylon you are, man.
It's a great
Sometimes,
book so far.
Chris,
First 4
you scare
pages,
me.
my mouth was like, what?
You're scaring me, bro. You need to disengage your third brain for like 5 more minutes.
No, I can't do that.
Of course not. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to having Shawn come back and just opening up on some of the other things. And man, I wanted to so badly go in 1993 to that Galacticon, and there was no way it was happening. And hey, these things. Look, I'm gonna live vicariously through Shawn and some of the others that have gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, there's plenty of stories. We'll talk about some more of all of his accomplishments. I want to get into the stories and definitely talk about writing, his style and how he put that together, and how that worked out, and the future of it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, like we said last week when we talked about fan fiction, it's the way you can continue the story, since the people who made the story no longer do it for you. You have to continue it on your own. And a lot of people who write the fan fiction, a lot of people who create, the videos or redo videos, that's how we carry the fandom on and get other people excited and involved. So there's people who were, probably not even born in 1978 who are fans of the Battlestar Galactica 1978, as well as some of and especially the new ones. And who knows, maybe the new Battlestar Galacticas that will come out will create even more newer fans, and more people go back and watch the old and the new. And like I said, we're pretty much agnostic. I mean, yeah, we love Battlestar Galactica 78, but it's the fans, the fandom, and the story that make the whole world here. If you don't have those, you don't have the world, and of course the fans. I forgot one, and the people behind the scenes. That would be the story piece of it. So those people who wrote this stuff, the people who created this, Glen Larson, right. All of those people who created this world that we so much love. And,
exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point. So look, George G says Cylons rule not.
I've never been to not, but I'm sure when I get there, I'll make sure that we rule it. Is that a new planet I'm unaware of?
Dude, that was good.
The planet not.
I have to acknowledge, man. That was good. That was good.
I've never been to not before, so I'll look that up in the Star Trek.
Did not rehearse that. Very good, Chris. Very good. All right. So bottom line, it's the Cylon Death Machine, right? There we go.
Yep.
There we go. That's it. So that's what we're getting into. And if you can tell, this is my original copy. This is like the third time I actually read this book, and it's just as good as the first time. I was fascinated with the story. It's one of my favorite episodes. And so let's do a little setup. Let's set this up a little bit.
We gotta start first.
Yeah, of course.
Book versus episode.
All right.
Now we're set.
Now we're set. So Chris, right? Gun on Ice Planet Zero, right? This is the name of the 2-part episode.
The episode, yes.
And part 1 aired on October 22nd of 1978 on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was there. I watched this. Absolutely.
I was laying on the shag carpet with my elbows on the shag carpet on my stomach as a kid watching the whole thing.
You nerd.
Yes, I was. But it's Wyoming.
Okay.
What else were we going to do?
Oh, of course, man. Come on. So, look, and the writers, John Ireland Jr., Michael Sloan, Donald Belisario, and of course, none other than Glen A. Larson.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and I picked up some trivia on this, Chris. This is very interesting. So hear me out. The original title, Ultimate Weapon Part 1, based on an abandoned 2-parter named Crossfire and the Nary of Sentinel 27.
All right, so I have Crossfire. I've never seen the script for the other one. I looked for it, but I can't find it. But I do have Crossfire. I have the script.
You have Crossfire.
I have the script.
Oh man. So you have to. So Chris, you got to promise that, that whatever you remember, maybe you can actually pick it up and bring out. There's got to be some differences.
Something different. Yeah, that's definitely probably we need to add that into the book versus episode versus whatever else we can find.
Alternate, yeah, exactly. Okay,
Script.
so that's cool. But yeah, the Nari of Sentinel 27. I've
never heard of that.
Obviously,
one. That's an interesting piece.
Yeah,
the Nari.
Okay, so the book itself, for the record, it's 250 pages long. It has 30 chapters, and chapter 1 has 5 sections, and it's one of the largest chapters. Yeah, it's 24 pages.
So we'll have to break that. So just to let you know up front, we're breaking that in 2 tonight. So we're not going to make it through the entire chapter tonight.
Book versus episode versus third brain propaganda.
It's only propaganda, though, if you look at it that way.
Mediocre modeler threw that up. Thank you, sir.
It's only propaganda if you think of it that way. It's just you haven't been injected with enough nanites yet there, sir. So
I was waiting for that.
We'll make sure those nanites we'll be by with the black van later. Don't go anywhere.
Oh man. So okay. So now I guess we might as well bust out the chapter.
The chapter.
And it starts with the Adama Journal. Right?
Like most of them do, yeah. Like some of these chapters don't start with the Adama Journal, by the way, but this one starts out with the Adama Journal, and it's, I don't know, my opinion on the Adama Journal in this one, it's like the first sentence in the whole book. It's like, who is, I forget his name now, damn it, Kree, right? Not Kree.
Well,
help me out there, Pete.
There's Shields?
No, the very first person in the book. The commander of the... Somebody help me. Here we go.
Who? Oh, what are you talking about?
The first sentence.
The first sentence.
Yeah.
Croft.
That's
Croft.
It. That's why I said Kree.
Hold on.
What?
No, not Kree. You're mixing everybody up.
I know, that's why I said Kree. And that's what's Kree Croft. Okay, it's like there it is. Croft.
Yeah, Croft.
The first word in the entire book. Croft.
You're confusing yourself. Hold on a second. All right. So before that,
that's the first sentence in the book.
Wait a second. Bottom line is, we probably all remember how the episode goes, right?
Right.
So
the actual video, yeah.
Yeah, the video itself, right? So the episode, the Vipers are launching, and Adama is on the bridge, and he's talking about where they're headed, and they're in front of that really cool star map, right?
Yeah, I think I have a picture of that.
And obviously, that's not how the book is going to go. I mean, just from the Adama Journal, and then the Adama Journal is like kind of like an opening, setup, and then you get into the meat of the story itself. But yeah, so there it is. So that's like scene number 2 is now Adama talking to Ty, and they're getting into it, and he's explaining what's going on, and Adama starts mentioning that he's a little concerned about how they were traveling and the path that they were taking. So that's established in the episode, basically right up front within the first 2 minutes. I think it's within the first 2 minutes, and within the first 10 minutes, Chris, they're already the squadron's already launched. Yep. And they're making their way to this unknown planet, and it's a gaseous planet. There's a lot of clouds in the upper atmosphere, and when they get close, they can't see what's going on. There's interaction between the pilots, and it's obvious who they're going to be. If you don't remember, it's Starbuck and it's Boomer, and you have the cadets with them, and you already mentioned that Kree is involved. So that's fine. And they're basically flying, like a training mission, right? So these are new cadets, and they're going out, and they haven't really flown a lot, and all of a sudden they're encountering this planet. However, that's not how the chapter goes.
Nope.
And like you said, the chapter starts with Croft.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated with the character of Croft and his buddies because it opened up a whole other world, a backstory, a window into the colonial military.
Right.
The fact that, right, so Croft, we find out not only in the episode, but also in the book, Croft is not a Viper pilot.
Nope.
He's got rank.
Yep, he's a commander.
He's a senior officer, but he's not a colonial. He's a colonial warrior, but he's not a Viper pilot. So I was like, wait a second. So he represents ground forces.
Yes, so there's ground forces. Yeah, he's commander of what do you call it? The
garrison.
Garrison.
But not in
garrison
the
commander.
episode. Not in the episode.
No.
In the episode, it's different. And right off the bat, in this, they're establishing what actually happened in terms of Croft's story, which is extremely fascinating, right? So Adama describes, Adama Journal, it opens with Croft, and Adama describes the background of his research into Croft's accusations or statements that Adama was the one that intercepted him and his renegade crew, right? So Shawn, I think, being that he's all up in this, I'm sure he's going to agree with this stuff in terms of, how different the Adama Journal portrays, Croft, because, he's I think he was a major also in the episode, but, now he's a garrison commander in the book, and he's a renegade. Adama basically calls them pirates.
Yeah, that's how they were initially found, as a ship load of pirates. So they didn't even say it was a colonial ship. They said it was a pirate ship. So it wasn't even a ship that was something that they recognized. Adama
was in command of the ship itself that intercepts him.
Not the pirate ship, but the Galactica.
It doesn't say it's the Galactica.
I think it says.
Does it? See if it says that, because I didn't catch.
Yeah, he requested from Galactica's computer.
Right. It's one of Adama's one of his early commands, and his early commands was not the Galactica. Remember, his father was the commander of the Galactica, and so Adama, he says that he goes back into what you just mentioned. He goes back into his diary, and the archive doesn't say much about the incident.
Right.
Croft swears.
Yeah,
right. He swears up and down. Yeah, that he met Adama face to face,
and Adama was the person who captured him. And
and that Croft did not open fire on the colonial on Adama's ship,
which was the same story in the episode too. So they kind of allude to that in the episode. That I couldn't fire on my own kind, and
that's the reason they got caught. If it wasn't for that, he definitely would have
gotten away.
And do you remember what exactly they plundered?
Platinum.
Cylon platinum. Cylon platinum.
I guess
so it belonged to
there's
the
only
Cylons.
one real kind of platinum out there, and that's the Cylon kind.
So they plundered the Cylons of platinum. I don't know why they need platinum, but they had platinum, and they stole it from the Cylons, as they should. That's what you're supposed to do. So
I hope Adama brought it back. I mean, since he found it, so.
Well, yeah, of course. But so that's the setup, right? So this is like, the foreshadowing of, obviously they're introducing Croft. The Croft is going to come back later on. And so now we know the backstory, and this has nothing to do with the episode. We find out all about Croft later.
Yeah, it's like a precursor. But another thing I like in this, it almost seems like he's doubting himself.
Yes.
He's like, I don't remember this. I should have written this down. This would have been something significant that I would have written down. And this is when, being a commander and all this stuff, I don't remember this. And he says he remembers it. I went back and looked in the logs, and I can't find anything other than a generic entry, which he and Colonel Ty, they were together then.
Right.
So that's what makes me think it's still the Galactica. It doesn't say that, but it still makes me think that. So they capture him, and it's all in there, and it's like, but it's a very minute, almost like he's doubting himself, like, was I crazy at that point, or did it really happen, or
yes, because Croft is like insistent that he met Adama. Okay, so this is now we're ready to launch into the actual chapter itself.
Yes.
But before we do that, B. John Laylor is with us. So thank you for joining us. And so, Chris, are you? I know that you're holding this in, and that you want to explode with the fact that Chapter 1 is all about the Imperious leader.
Oh,
at least it opens with.
It opens up. The first 4 pages just had my jaw dropped. I mean, it's like, so so the Imperious leader, he comes on. So I love the Imperious leader. He's like, so this has got to work. He's looked at all of the different ways they could get out of it. Can they, is there any of those where sneaky humans could get out? He says, he admits there's a couple of opening things he's got to get more information on so he can close the net closer, but they're driving them towards a planet, and they're tired of chasing. One of the things that I noticed, that one of the sentences they use, they're tired of chasing. They've been chasing them for a long time. One of the things about Galactica I've noticed is you don't get a sense of time between episodes. There could be a long period of time between episodes, and this appears to be a long period of time, because even though this is Battlestar Galactica #2, even in the show, this was Pete will have to remind me which episode this was in the show, how far down. I think it was 6. So it's 6 episodes down, but still it talks about
Something like that.
So it talks about them chasing them for a long time. Well, how long? It doesn't really get into that. So it makes you wonder, what's the time frame distance between these things? So that's why you get an idea that a lot of things that could happen in the Galactica time frame all through the episodes could happen because there was longer times between the episodes than we understand. So they're tired of chasing him. They want to make sure. So he's chasing them towards this, one planet. He's got this idea they're going to attack him, which comes in a little bit. So want to attack him, and they're like, okay, this is where we have this great weapon, and it's on planet. I'm going to mess this up. Tarac, T-A-I-R-A-C, Tarac, Tarac, which that is not the planet in the episode.
No, it's not. It's Arcta.
Right. The planet in the episode is Arcta.
Yes.
So,
Chris, it's just quick footnote is it's episode 8.
8. Yeah, that's
8.
too off.
Yeah. But anyway, it's really interesting. Eric Padden is with us. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. And Tarac, which is more original than Arcta. Yes, it is. Obviously, it sure is. So it seems that, in my opinion, it's almost like they took the letters and kind of almost made it work. But anyway, so from Arcta to Tarac or Tarac to Arcta. So Chris, real quick though, yeah, right. It kind of almost works.
A-R-C.
There's something interesting that comes up. Yeah, there's something interesting that's also mentioned, and that is the fact that First Centurion Vulpa has been exiled to Tarac.
Well, first of all, there's a rank.
Yes, there is.
We didn't know there was a rank before. So
correct.
This is something new. So there's a First Centurion who is a gold Centurion, and somebody who is one of the, pretty much, if you want to look at it, the Cylon Council.
Executive officer. He's an executive officer.
He's like an exec officer, one of the leads.
Yeah.
And according to the Imperious leader, said that he was going to make he was on his way to become another Imperious leader.
Imperious leader, yes.
So he was way up there. He was liked and everything else, but I don't know whether to like Vulpa or not, because Vulpa is.
I like him a lot.
I went too far.
No, this is in. This is right here. It's acted in an
he's outspoken
Cylon manner.
Yes.
Errors of Cylon decorum which you always do, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have trouble ascending to Imperious leader.
So yeah, he was outspoken, and he questioned the Imperious leader in regards to. He's like, "Why are we chasing them? Let's stop. We've already accomplished pretty much our mission." And the Imperious leader is like, "I like this guy, but now I'm going to smack him down.
Yes,
I'm going to have to do a smackdown on this guy because I can't have him being outspoken like this. He's one of my most valued officers, which is what is listed."
Yes.
But he was obligated, that's what it written in the book, which is kind of an interesting way of putting it. He was obligated to ostracize and send this guy to the frozen world of Terrak or Arcta, whatever. I was going to say Arcta. So,
yeah.
So
but this is nothing. We don't get to see really any of this in the actual episode.
Right. Well, we don't get the backstory either. I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's Volpa's
so
backstory.
Cool.
Actually, Volpa,
this is it.
From what I understand, Volpa was supposed to be a reoccurring bad guy throughout the entire episode, which was going to take the place of Baltar.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So that was kind of the idea. But
they also mentioned,
here he is. Let's not worry. We've already accomplished this. It's a waste of our time. Why don't we, do whatever? A couple of things that he also mentioned that Volpa mentions during this brief before he gets smacked down and sent away. He says, we've already accomplished our job, but I like what he says. He says, there's except for the ones that are getting away, and the remaining enslaved humans on the outer worlds.
Oh yes, on the outworlds.
Outworlds. Like
yeah.
So there's a storyline that you could create off of that easy. Now you've got maybe a resistance, and maybe you have. A slave colony that under Cylons, which sounds awesome,
for sure.
By the way.
That's what's implied. Yeah. Oh my God.
So we didn't annihilate all of them. We kept some of them for slaves. I guess they work.
That is incredible. Which also then begs the question: if what they'd mentioned now is the concept that this is where the enslaved humans are.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get them? And it seems like the colonies are completely destroyed and there are no humans left on the colonies.
Right.
So the only humans are probably them. And they may or may not come from
the outer worlds.
Yeah. By the way, Tim, thanks for joining us. And John Lubin, hello from sunny Alaska. Thank you for joining us tonight. Obviously, everybody,
really? Is it sunny?
For those of you, right? Cylon Death Machine, Chapter 1, and
new heavy metal band, the Cylon Death Machine.
There you go, bro. I like that.
That's what it sounds like.
So, an ambition.
Yes.
This is again what the Imperious leader is talking about. Yes, and quote: ambition is rarely observed among Cylons. And you mentioned, Chris, you mentioned something about the rank structure. And what I teased out of this was there's the fighter pilot, first brain.
Right. That's when he first brain. Yeah. That's kind of that's in chapter 2 of the original book.
Right. So now if you excel and the Imperious leader says something about how Volpa had taken a lot of risks.
Yeah. They're surprised he survived. He sounds like Starbuck.
Yes, exactly. So he gets the second brain. And then, right, so you're a fighter pilot. So that's your first brain.
He needs a second
and when
brain.
you excel, you get the second brain. After you get the second brain, then you become an executive officer status. That's what you get with that second brain. If you're right, and if you have, I guess, what we would call ambition, but Imperious leaders like, no, don't say that. And we also, Chris, got to mention that there is a description of what the Imperious leader looks like.
Yeah. So,
and then he talks about ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, he views humans as just the ugliest creatures in the world.
Yes.
And then,
however,
of course, humans.
He himself is uneven he has an uneven, out of balance body.
Yeah. Starting to sound like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. He resembles a pile of jagged and lumpy stones with a swampy gray skin. Imagine that.
Yeah. And he has many eyes.
Many eyes, which is one of the things that repulses a human that is privy to seeing, actually,
Right.
being able to see the Imperious leader. So, um, and this is kind of sort of where, because right, so there's a little bit more of like introspection from the Imperious leader, right?
Right. Well,
And
let's
then
jump
we
back a
get
little quick before we get too far, because
okay,
Volpa. Let's jump back to Volpa real quick because I wrote something down I really wanted to get to. I thought was interesting. That Volpa gets back. He says, "Oh, these, just let's just let him go. We've got slaves already." And the Imperious leader, of course, smacks him down, tells him, "Hey, I'm going to have to banish you to whatever." But he also says, "We're not leaving one alive because, they can breed and come back." And the
right,
way he says, humans breed faster than Cylons,
yes,
but the humans have a shorter lifespan.
yes,
So the Cylons live longer, but the humans breed faster. So they sound like a vermin. You get mice, vermin. They breed really
yes,
fast, or
yes,
rabbits or something.
yep,
So
yep,
that's the kind of connection I believe he's trying to make on it. He's like, these things breed like they breed so fast, and they could turn around and come back and attack us again. So we're
yes.
going to eliminate. It's going to be total annihilation, extermination. We're going to get rid of all of them.
Right. And then that's the bridge. That's the segue to the fact that the Imperious leader wants to get rid of everybody, everybody, all the humans, and to do that, he's actually trying to put together the perfect plan, and
Right.
he's reviewing it, right? So he's using his abilities, and at this point, he calls for a simulator, right?
You know what?
It's
Star Trek didn't have the holodeck first.
That's right. So it's a hollow emitter,
Yep.
and it's programmed with all the intelligence that they've collected, right? So whatever info they've collected, they put it into the simulator, and it actually can project based on who you call up, so that you can then learn from these characters. They program it so that it has aspects of the individual that you're calling on, and the Imperious leader actually calls up the data and information that they have on Adama. But since they don't have a lot of intel on Adama, the simulation cannot actually give him the info and background that he wants. So he then calls up a simulation of Lieutenant Starbuck, and it's great because the point is, of course, to glean info and tighten up his plan. But Starbuck they have enough information that Starbuck is his simulation is so well put together that it actually portrays him in his character, right? So the way Starbuck is, the way he's, he can be sarcastic and flippant and nonchalant. All of that is programmed into what the Imperious leader now is facing, and he's getting really annoyed, right, to say the least, because it's like being disrespectful to him. He's the Imperious leader,
Right.
and he's like tremendously annoyed at this simulation that he's dealing with.
Right. And I think one of the things I like that they talked about, so they tried to bring up the Adama one first, and it was fuzzy.
Yes.
They didn't have a lot of information about Adama. And then, of course, they bring up Apollo. It's a little clearer. And they finally bring up Starbuck, and it's like perfectly clear. And the thing I found was interesting the way is, and I'm going to bring this picture up, is the way they said they got this information. Now, the way they got this information is from if you read into it a little bit, it's scanning the brains, because all of the pilots didn't know who Adama was as well as they knew their other pilots.
Right.
So it says in there, hey, they, all the information they could glean out of their minds was from the lower echelon because that's who they dealt with the most. So you could get, that way they could get the most information from it. So I believe, this, what they call it, the brain scan, is how they put these together. These, how they got all this information together out of these people. They didn't talk to them or write it all down. They scanned it out, and that way they could put it into these simulations, and then they could see how the human would react to specific things. So I like, he talks to Starbuck, and Starbuck's like, he's flippant, like you were talking about, and I love the question. He's like, so he asked so how many ships do you have?
Right.
And Starbuck's like, we've got as many ships as the sand between your two toes. Or between your toes. He didn't say two toes. He said between your toes. And the Imperious leader kind of looks down and is like, Cylons don't have toes. And then Starbuck's like, well, I guess we don't have that many ships.
So he's getting just really pissed off, which is great.
Oh yeah.
And it just annoys him to no end, and that's how that progresses. And then I think at this point, Chris, we do a jump cut, and it goes to section 2. So this is now the next part of the actual chapter.
This is go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up that we have Clay Arden with us, and Nicholas W is with us. Thank you for joining. And actually, Eric said, I always loved how they called the simulation the Starbuck.
Yeah, that's good. And I still can't say this right. Simulacrium. Simulacrium.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Simulacrium.
So
the original Star Trek holodeck.
It's really cool, right? So now we then cut to Adama is in the classroom giving instruction to new trainees.
Right. So this one's interesting because he talks about how young they are.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
He says, oh my, in the back of his head, he's like, how young they are. They only look like they're a little older than Boxy.
He said they look like they're a little older than Boxy. I'm like,
yeah. They're young. They're really young.
They can't be
teenagers.
that young. I mean, Boxy's like 6 or 7, man. It can't be it can't be like 12,
Listen,
maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe you guys are short on people. You better breed some more. You guys breed like rabbits, so.
Yeah. Adama's up in age, so when he meets anybody that's under 20, they're like children. I know that feeling. So he's remarking on how, like you said, how young they look, and he is aboard the Infinity.
Yeah, they a new ship. Here, guys. Here's another ship. Here's another piece that you could, if you want to write something about the training ship. The ship's called Infinity. The training ship's called Infinity. It's like, wow, who would have? We never heard this name before,
No, never. It's used to simulate a training academy.
Right. They ripped out things and made gyms, and it talks about how they, the stress areas and the simulators they tried to build and everything else. So, I mean, they're trying to replace. Cool. But he also mentions that how many people put in to become a pilot or to help out. Yes. And he says there was, I can't exact words. There was a lot.
I believe it's hundreds.
Yeah. Well, the way he said it, it was like, they had more requests than they had, 100 times more requests than they had slots.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're hurting for Viper pilots, I guess. And now they have to build Vipers.
Exactly. That's a perfect segue to the fact that they converted and scavenged what they could into new Vipers. So anytime they go to a planet, anywhere they go, all the ships in the fleet, they've taken whatever they can from the ships and whatever, I guess resources they can get to create and build their own Vipers. So it's
Well, it
like
also says
foundry
that
ships.
They dismantled entire freighters.
Yeah.
For their metal and everything else. So, you
Yeah.
know, I guess those are the ships that they couldn't probably get to go to light speed or travel as fast
Right.
as the other ones.
Right.
So
Or damaged.
were
beyond
damaged
repair.
beyond repair. So
Yeah.
they just tore them up, and I guess they put them into a foundry ship. So, wondering if we get to hear about the Celestra in here shortly. I mean, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying that would be your foundry ship and putting everything together.
Well, yeah, but there's more. It alludes to more than one of these ships out doing this.
Definitely.
So in the middle of all of this is the fact that Cylons have broken through the camo field. Is mentioned
once again.
again.
That camouflage
they're-
field again.
Yeah.
That Apollo.
And the foundry ship was hit not that seriously, and Adama has a feeling that their luck will soon run out.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Right? And real quick, Chris, I'm sure you picked up on this. They also as we move forward in this section of chapter 1, right in the beginning, because we're like around page 12, 13,
Mm-hmm.
there is the notion that there might be remote control Cylon ships. Athena scanning the ships.
Yep. And not picking up bodies.
Yeah.
Remote control, so
Yes.
we're already
It's very
starting that.
interesting.
We're already starting that here. I mean, you've seen the robots we've been putting together here. I mean, the ones that
Yes.
we're supposed to
I see them.
help.
I see them behind you.
Those ones.
That's right. Yeah.
But,
But
yeah,
more
that's-
importantly,
they're drones.
the drones, drone ships. Oh, the other thing, Chris, is that this chapter, not once did they call the Cylon ships raiders.
Nope.
Not called raiders. They call them
I
everything
don't-
but.
It wasn't a whole lot of times. I think it was mentioned in the first book either.
Right. Correct. Yeah, that's something that we picked up on.
Well, it's just
first
like the
book as
Viper
well.
wasn't mentioned to be a Viper, but like maybe a handful of times in the whole first book.
Yeah. The other thing that's super interesting in this, never mind that it doesn't correlate to the episode itself, the ship known as the Colonial Movers, we move anywhere, was armed and repulsed a squadron of Cylon fighters. So,
We didn't see that
Awesome.
in the show.
no, that's so cool, man.
A bunch of guys standing out there with
we see the Colonial Mover ship is iconic because it's part of
right.
the opening, right? And the closing.
Yeah.
I think they showed both,
So
right?
there was no guns on it, but that would have been cool if they would have put outfitted guns on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh boy, are you kidding me? Absolutely.
I guess they had to have it to where only the Galactica had guns. I mean,
Oh, come on. Yeah.
in the
That's
in
a
the
little
show, I mean,
short-sighted. Yeah.
yeah, because none of the other
Come
ships
on.
had any guns. I mean, they're all the episodes you look at. The Vipers have to protect all of the civilian ships, and none of the civilian ships had the ability to protect themselves. But, back in the first book, the Rising Star had guns on it.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. Where would you mount them? I mean, I would love to see a Rising Star with a mediocre modeler. There you go. Make a Colonial Movers with bristling with guns.
With guns. Oh, that'd be so cool.
If they would have to be bristling with guns to take out, what was it, the whole squad? What do you think? A squadron, or what was it again?
Yes, a squadron of Cylon fighters. And they say that they were so proud of it that they wrote songs about it, and they were all up in how they destroyed the Cylons. which I thought was fun.
So there we go. Who's the songwriter in the group? We'll have to have great songs of Cylon destruction.
I
given
love
by
it.
The,
Please do that, somebody. Oh, come on. Rick
we only
King,
have beeps and
thank you for-
boings.
Thanks for joining us. I want to hear those songs, says Clay. Yeah, of course we do too. To
There's
the
some
great
songs
annoyance of Chris.
if you get the fanzines, there's songs in the fanzines.
Yeah, and poetry.
Poetry.
And yes, that's right.
I have to look up a couple songs. I'm not going to sing any to you because, I don't sound really well.
I sound like crap.
If you meant to bleep that, Chris, we all heard that.
I
just
know
so
that.
You know. Yes. Okay.
We can do
However, yeah. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, I can't.
That's the only way I can sing it.
Oh man, we started that. Oh man, yeah. Paul Roeder's with us. Paul Roeder, representing Colonial Warriors admin and one of the founders. Thank you for joining us, Paul. So I gotta find Earth. That's what Paul just said. Yeah, no kidding.
Gotta find Earth. We gotta find Earth. That's a great song, by the way. I like that one.
There you go. So section 3, right? So we jump into now. This is kind of like where we get close to the actual episode, because Starbuck gets into his Viper, and his flight crew leader, Jenny, helps him in and secures him into the actual Viper. And Cadet Cree is part of the mission. Yeah.
Jenny. See, in the episode, it's a guy,
and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, in the episode, there's a guy, and actually, it was one of Dirk's best friends from Montana that he got to get on the set and give a couple of lines to. He talked him into it. I remember hearing Dirk talk about that in one of the cons. And
listen, Chris, next time you're on the set,
but it makes sense. It makes sense. It's a female.
Oh yeah.
Because
it's Starbuck,
the womanizer. Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
It's a female. Yeah.
Yeah. Just listen. Next time you're doing a movie, make sure that you get me some lines, okay?
Yeah. Right. Only if you get your full input of nanites, and then we'll talk about it.
So now they're getting ready to launch, and Starbuck and Boomer are taking out cadets, right? They're taking out trainees.
Yeah, now this weaves over to the taking out of the cadets of the other, the female cadets. But so they're taking out cadets, all these trainees that they had mentioned earlier. But why are they taking the cadets? What happened? Where's all the other guys? Come on, they're not all. These can't be the only guys left.
No, they're not. Because Adama mentions how many people are actually out there. So this is just part. I mean, they talk about how they're part of Blue Squadron. So obviously they're doling them out little by little, right? And they didn't take out. They can't, right? Didn't they talk about the fact that there's issues with fuel?
Mm-hmm.
They can't get proper training because there's just not enough to go
you can't
around.
Go fly. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got to go out. They got to learn everything they can as quickly as possible on scouting missions and actual combat missions, which has lowered their their mortality rate is higher than what it should be. But there is also something very important, and it is that Starbuck has golden rules.
Yes.
So on page 15, I have to read you, them? Chris, the golden rules. Okay? So
Starbucks Golden Rules is read by Pete Gallico.
Yes.
Pete Giacomas is going to read the Golden Rules. Everyone stand by. The Golden Rules by Pete.
The Golden Rules. So So the thing is that, Cree is so excited that, he's talking, he's actually talking too much, and, Starbuck doesn't want to hear any more of this, right? So he's like, oh my God, are you just going to stop, right? And there's definitely some irony, Shawn, absolutely. So he says, you're going to learn something, and just, this is what it's going to be. And because of course, there's a disparity, just like in life, between learning something in theory, learning something in the classroom, and then obviously doing, on-the-job training or field training. And, this is really big with Starbuck and the other weathered, pilots. So, he wants to make sure that Cree just, he's got to back off, and he's just, he has to lighten up, because they all see these kids as being, oh my God, they're just like really young, and they're getting under everybody's skin. So it's like, calm yourself down, man. And so, golden rule: keep your trap shut when somebody wants something from you. Plan on how you're going to get them later, and never volunteer even when the mission looks like the boondoggle of all time. There you go. Those are Starbucks golden rules.
Gonna have that put on a plaque somewhere. I don't know.
Somewhere, right? So
maybe the bathroom.
Those are his golden rules. And so now that they got that out, Boomer makes a comment about I think he's actually starting to learn something. And there's Cadet Cree, Cadet Bo, Cadet Shields
yeah,
are launching on this training mission with Boomer, and they're going out, and this is now, where we all know where they're headed. And
Yep.
so that's how this section ends. It's all Blue Squadron, that's actually said, and they're going out on a training, I guess, scouting mission of sorts.
Yep.
Yeah. And so next section, Chris, Adama. Adama's worried. He's getting this feel about what's going on.
Yeah.
And he hears the banter. There's like a little bit of the banter, and he starts to reminisce. And we find out some stuff about
good old
Ty.
days.
Yes. And he talks, it's on page 19, and it's really good, right? So he says that Adama is a little bit like Starbuck, and that Ty is a little bit like Boomer. So it's kind of cool. However, there's a little bit like, he says, similarly brash young man plunging recklessly into risky exploits, especially if they seem designed to test him, was a little bit like, how Adama kind of saw himself. And, Ty had been Adama's Boomer. However, Ty knew kind of when to apply the brakes, but it was a pity that Ty had not won the Battlestar command post he so richly deserved. He had been, unfortunately, as incautious in speaking his mind in the wrong places as he had been wary in battle, and the result was that the command post had been denied him. Ooh.
All right. So this is different than the first book, because the first book says he lost.
He had a temper.
He had lot. Well, it's kind of the same deal. He would speak his mind. He had a temper, but he lost his command. This is saying he never got his command.
Right. Well,
so
he may have.
Bit of a,
so, I mean, look, maybe he had who knows, like a temporary duty officer in charge at some point,
right.
And so all of that's possible, right? Within the realm of possibilities. Sometimes you don't get, you get duty assignments, and then it's not a permanent promotion. Right. You're acting. So, yeah. I mean, we can kind of see how that could play out.
Possibly. But I mean, that was just, when I read that, I was like, no, what? No, wait a minute. Yeah,
however, it could be also perspective, right? It could be depending on the context of who's saying it, how they're saying it. So Adama now sees it. He's like, well, maybe he's overlooking something.
Could have had a command, but he lost that opportunity, or he lost that command. I can see that.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. But it tells us a little bit more about, Ty. So Ty speaks his mind, and he's has a
unfiltered.
Temper.
I love it.
Unfiltered. Yeah.
I'm okay with
very
unfiltered.
Cool, man. Very cool backstory. Love it, man. Love it.
Now compare that to the 2004 version.
Yeah. Well,
it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is,
he's willing to tell the old man what to do.
Yeah, there is a basis for a lot of, including the androids, right? Mm-hmm. The Daggett in the first book looks like a real dog,
right?
So it's not that big of a leap to say that if someone had actually read the book and took some of these things out, you could see where they could have gone in terms of the re-envisioning, right?
Yeah.
The New Galactica. It's not a stretch, man. It's
No, it's
kind
not
of
as much
there.
a stretch as you think it is sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. And then never mind 1980, right?
Yeah.
If you watch 1980, which we promised we would, just for giggles,
we will.
They did this the quote the skin jobs.
Yeah.
It's in it.
Yeah.
So
The night the Cylons landed, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Still
So
don't like the idea that he's messed up by a microwave. Anyways.
Well,
The
you
Cylon.
need to stay away from the microwave. That's what you need to do.
You had a pacemaker.
Yeah. So, all right. So now, Adama is leery of the flight path, and he uses a laser pointer, which in 1978-79, we didn't know what the hell a laser pointer was.
Right. So in the show, and I was looking for the picture and I can't find it.
Yeah, 1979.
Well, anyways,
nobody knew what the hell a laser pointer was.
Yeah, no kidding. When he stands here.
Yeah, put it up. That's a great image.
You don't see it on this photo, but in the video, at some points you'll see a little red light bouncing around.
Yeah.
On the chart. So I'm guessing that's kind of where they got that from. It's not a laser pointer for sure. It's the 1970s version of a laser pointer. It's a red light that reflects off of the surface. So
I have a laser pointer right here on my desk, which is so cool. And this is something that back then you're like, laser pointer? What the heck is a laser pointer? So cool. So cool. And then so that's what we got in terms of, like Adama is starting to get a feel for this, right? He's getting really worried. And the image that you have up now, or that we just had up, is early on. It's within like the first few minutes of the episode itself. But you and I have gone through almost the entire chapter, and it's there's very little of. But in the show, I got to admit, I mean, they did a really good job, right? So they got across a lot of this, and this is all, a lot of background. It fleshes out the characters and a lot of what's going on. And so Starbuck calls in a planet ahead right after Adama talks about, the map and his feel for, what's going on. And there's possible Cylon asteroid, and there's a frozen environment, and it's got this particular chemical, diethene, a byproduct of a Cylon style laser of some sort. And that's, so they scan it. There you go. Yeah. Yep. Diethene, which is exactly how it's written in the book. Right. And Clay says Star Trek gets all the credit for predicting technology. Yeah. Well, that's okay. We're Star Trek fans too, but we love Galactic. Anyway. So yeah, frozen seas. So in this section though, Chris, they really talk about how it's an asteroid, possibly maybe it's a fragment from a planet that was destroyed. It seems to have some type of an atmosphere, and Adama says that it could be used as a ship or a weapon by the Cylons, and it had been he knew about it. Obviously, a lot of his crew and some of the younger people around him did not know about this. And he even mentions that diethene is a condensed a shorter version of the chemical. It's like this really huge chemical technical term that they've just shortened for them to use amongst themselves. And so, but it's definitely this chemical that they've actually scanned is definitely linked to Cylon weaponry. So now, like they're all what the heck's going on. And after this,
that happens.
It's section 5, right? So we're actually now at the very end of chapter 1, Chris, and we get that visual. We get the visual of the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's dark, cloudy planet, it has a gravitational pull, and Cadet Cree is placed in command as the rest of them scout. So Starbuck notices, oh yeah, and then Starbuck, so they're flying close to the planet. However, they're keeping their distance, right? They're trying to keep their distance. Unfortunately, though, there's a couple of the new pilots, the cadets, that are not really following orders, and that's the image that you have up is them. And Starbuck now notices that there's these lights, right? A bright light, and then the next or subsequent appearance of it hits Bo's Viper as it explodes, and Starbuck says it was like a pulsar beam. Yep, there you go. Shields and Kree were heading for the asteroid, and they headed straight for the planet cloud cover, and this is what happens, right? They were told not to do this, and so now that's basically where we end chapter 1, which is almost like a sort of like a cliffhanger, right? But both pilots, unheeding, headed their craft straight for the planet's cloud cover, and that's chapter 1, man. So it took us a while to get to the visuals.
Smoked Bo.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So it was one thing I always wanted to do, and I never just had time, is to go through every one of the Galactica episodes and write down the names of the pilots that they talk about being
lost.
Killed.
Yeah.
So
and remember,
Shields and Bo, and go ahead.
Yeah, but Terry McDonald told us that there was censorship and that they were not allowed to kill off. There was a limit to the violence. Yeah, so they couldn't. Obviously they had written a lot more combat and losses.
Right, and you couldn't have acts of violence, specific acts of violence within so many minutes of each other. And he actually talked about how a commercial breaks the acts of violence and then comes back, and they tried to call it 2, and they wouldn't let them air the show because they had one too many acts of violence in it. They actually had to, Glen Larson had to go in and fight with the people, the censors,
or whoever the committee was.
Yeah, and go above their head bosses' heads to get that show on the air.
Yeah. So like if you put up, you have an image, Chris. If you put that up, right? So, there's one where the pulsar has just fired, right? So if they went to commercial and came back with the result of that, that was basically
2 acts of violence.
Yeah, they counted it as 2, and there was standards and practices. Yes, Shawn, thank you. So yeah, they were all over it. And Clay Arden says we never met Bunker and Tags. Yes. So, George Zuvalos.
Bunker and Tags was in the very first show. It was they talked. Who'd we lose? We lost Bunker and Tags. So you never got to meet them either. So there's another great little snippet. Hey, you could write a short story about who was Bunker, who was Tags, and were they
and Eric,
friends with Starbuck or anybody else?
Jemmy in Lost Planet of the Gods. Gemmy? Yeah. Jemmy. Bunker and Tags were living legend. Thank you, Eric. Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that this book itself kind of like builds out a lot of the backstory, and I've always said that the episodes were shot and presented in a way that they're fast paced, right? So before you get a chance to really try to digest too much, especially when you first watching it, and we were young, you just went along. It was almost like a roller coaster ride, and you just went with it, man. Yeah. And then afterwards, you kind of thought a little bit about it. You were like, "Oh wow, what the heck, man!"
Well, everything moved that fast. Watch Star Wars 1977.
Yeah, of course.
The storyline in that. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. It was the same thing, and this had a lot of more. Galactica had more moving parts. So yeah, I mean, and then the book filled in a lot of what was there.
Yes.
And then when you went back and watched the reruns, right? Because the book came out in '79.
Yep.
And that was like, sort of like before the reruns, and
Well,
so you got this.
they were still on the air in '79.
Yeah,
And I wonder when
so
the
you
book
got
came
this.
out. So what
Did
date?
you
actual
read this
date?
as a kid?
Yes.
It came out in '79. You did, right? I did.
Yeah, I
I
just
got
wonder
it
what
as soon
month
as
it came out in '79.
Yeah. No, it
Doesn't
doesn't
say
say.
that.
We'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
But I remember getting the Berkeley. Here you go, Chris. The Berkeley edition, January 1979. That's
Holy
that's
crap,
this one.
that was
That's mine.
fast. That was almost
Yeah, it
right
is.
before. Well, when the show aired. The show aired on October or November.
It's episode 8, and it was October 22nd, 1978.
So 3 months. 3 months after the episode aired, the book was out.
Oh, wait a second. You know what's interesting? I have 2 different dates, Chris. I'm quoting one date, Battlestar Galactica series regulars and episode guide. Ultimate70s.com says it was October 22nd. However, Battlestar Wiki says it was October 22. Oh, no.
22nd, same thing.
Oh, yeah. All right. I stand corrected. I was looking at the other episode, The Long Patrol. That was October 15th. So, no, I was right. And both are right. Excellent. Good. My sources are genuine. All right. Fantastic.
The sources line up.
Yes, they line up. Fantastic. So, I remember Eric says, I remember reading this when the show was on in late 78, but it was number 2 in production order. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
George, by the way, he sends us a quick little great show, guys. I want to throw that in.
Cool.
Spartan Red Productions. Thank you, George. And George Zuvalos, right? We had him as a guest. He just gave us a thumbs up. Great stuff. And yeah, great episode, man.
This is just the beginning of the book, and I really enjoy, I was just dropped dead at page 4. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember reading this when I was a kid. I must have just zipped through this when I was a kid and just.
Yeah, of course. Oh, the first time? You're like, oh man, I got to get to the bottom. We got to find out what else is going on.
I remember this part. I remember this part. I remember this part. And you kind of just skipped all of the other pieces to it.
So the episode, Chris, I was watching it earlier today before we went on air. This is about the 10-minute mark in the episode. Right. So, talk about differences, which is great, though. I mean, there's a lot of backstory. It's really, really good stuff. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are.
Who's going to be creating the new Battlestar Galactica fan club page? We call it Starship Infinity.
Starship Infinity. Isn't that cool? It's the training. It's where they conduct all their training. So we are definitely going to have Shawn come back. And let's just let everybody know that April 22nd, we're going to have another 10 Centon program segment. And we have a Battlestar Galactica collector, Robert Bergeron. He's going to be with us. And following him is a full-blown interview with Jim Beard. And he is a writer, and he's written some very interesting things. So Rob Bergeron, followed by Jim Beard. And we have some others lined up as well. So we have a full slate.
Yeah, we do.
All the way to like June, the middle of June.
Yep.
Author Robert Thurston did a great job giving Galactica depth, especially the pilot and Gun on Ice Planet Zero.
Oh, yes.
Those are Shawn's comments, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, absolutely. And that's probably why we enjoy the book. Never mind the episode, because like I said, this is my favorite episode, a 2-part episode.
And we've reached out to Mr. Thurston on a number of occasions, but never got anything back. So
yeah, I hope, fingers crossed. We're gonna have other things for you guys, other interviews, other 10 Centon
we've
spot segments.
Was it Babes, Beers, and Battlestar Galactica? We're getting ready to do a pre-show with them to find out. They're going to probably be coming on our show. That's going to be
ins
fun.
and outs.
Yeah.
We have a lineup. As a matter of fact, we had another author reached out to me today, Chris. I didn't get a chance to mention it. We'll talk more about that later on. He He wants to come on, and he's worked on a lot of different sci-fi stuff, including 40K, Warhammer 40K.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so he's
that's
asked.
getting ready to come out as a game from Dark Star Labs or Dark Labs or whatever, the ones that built Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. So there's, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of guests. So we just want to thank everybody, I guess, right, Chris? I mean, this kind of brings us pretty much to our closing. And I personally, Chris, want to thank all of you for tuning in. We love hanging and having you on board. Keep clicking the thumbs up, and don't forget to tell your friends about our show. If you want to reach out, please do. It's at info@interfleetbroadcasting.com. Everyone, please stay safe and see you next show. And fans, fuel the fleet. Thank you for joining.
Thank you much. Don't forget to like us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. What am I missing? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Yeah, that's the big ones. Here. And again, Shawn, thank you so much for joining us. And we're looking forward to having you come back.
YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitter. And then also we have, it's not on here, but we also have an account with Instagram. So
yes, we do.
Check us out on those.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Lola. Thank you, everybody. George and John and everybody else for tuning in and watching with us, and all our friends and supporters, right? You guys, everyone that watches this, whether it's live or not, you are the supporters. We will be doing this. Chris has said this plenty of times. It'd be the two of us alone in, and just putting this out anyway. However, it makes it that much better when we get to share with you guys.
It's much more fun when
that's my
people
greatest
get involved,
choice.
And it's what we always want, is we always want people involved. So.
Oh yeah!
Thanks for joining us, fans. Fuel the fleet. We'll give you a goodbye toast since I've still got
yes, I will. I'll sip whatever's left in here.
30 weight oil left here.
A little ambrosia in mine, Chris. So
it could be CBD oil. I mean, we're Cylon, so it could be.
Yeah, you enjoy that. You enjoy that, my friend. You enjoy that. I'm gonna pass completely on that. So again, thanks everybody, and see you next show. And be well.
Y'all take care.